something like, I'm sorry if you are a Hawkeye fan, but I, ho- I hope this won't insult you or, distract you during the sermon. I couldn't pass this moment after 133 years, right? So, yeah, so no tie today or anything like that. Just, yeah. And I still have accent. I don't know if I never gonna erase that because Sarah, she speaks Spanish perfect, no accent. For me, it's the other way around here. Like if they see me, they're like, I don't know, he probably an American. When I open my mouth, everything is. Sarah's the other way around. No, she's not from here. When she opens her mouth, they're like, oh no, she is. They feel like no, we cannot bother her or tease her or anything like that. Now, but let me tell you something. There's three things that I'm good right now, and that jokes. And I won't say anything because I don't want to ruin my reputation here. So no that jokes today. But I can laugh, I can create those, and I understand those. So Sarah told me a few days ago, you became officially a gringo. You are an American. It doesn't matter about the accent. You are. Because you understand those, and those three departments are really good. Creating them, understanding them, and laughing at them. So that's not bad. I'm getting there. Still the accent, but I'm getting close, I guess. Never say or think, I'm too busy for you. Never say or think, I am too busy for you. And let me pray before we go to the Bible and read. That will be Mark chapter 5. Thank you, God, for this day, and thank you for this time, and thank you for the prayers of this church and everything that they've been doing for so many years for the people in Venezuela. I mean, Father, you have your rewards for this church for those so many years and so many people giving their life until even today. A couple Sundays ago, people giving their life to you and getting baptized, and part of the reason is because all the prayers and from so many people, including this church. And I pray today that this, what I'm going to share with this in the church right now, that you open our hearts and move us to do what we have to do for you. I just pray that just move move us to do what we need to do for you. And I pray this in your name. Amen. Never say or think, I am too busy for you. I just want you to go with me to Mark chapter 5. Yeah, Mark chapter 5. So, in Mark chapter 5, verse 21. So, when Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while um, he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders named Jairus, I think, Jairus, yep, came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, my little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live. So Jesus went with him. Everything is okay here, right? That's what Jesus will do, right? A large crowd followed and pressed around him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately, her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. Or freed, right? That's the verb. Well, was released from that. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" You see the people crowding against you, his disciples answered, and yet you ask, "Who touched me?" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Okay, let me tell you this. During this time of the year, I normally get an agenda, one of those, things that you feel, and I feel that thing even with, things that I have to do next year. So those are tasks, and every day you have tasks to do. You need to go to work, you need to go to, to your classroom, you need to go to different places, groceries. You have a task every single day, and probably for a month, a year, who knows, even 5. There are people that plan for years, even for years. They have, long-term plans, short-term plans. So you have tasks. Now, people cannot be less important than your task. I mean, task or things, chores that you have to do cannot be more important than people. And now we're talking about not just a thing here. We're talking about somebody which little girl is dying. And just put yourself in that place. You are with Jesus, and then this guy comes. And then Jesus starts walking. And then somebody touched Jesus, and then Jesus started. I'm going to use this word, but don't take it wrong. Wasting time looking for somebody that touched him while a little girl is dying. That kind of makes no sense, right? Even the disciples said, how in the world you say that who touched you if everybody is not touching, just like crushing you basically? And he was just looking for this lady. And that little girl was dying. So this is not even a task. This is a real situation here that you cannot even consider you cannot consider this a task. It's somebody dying, and they're asking for Jesus to go and save this person. And Jesus stopped the walk and started looking for this lady. So Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be released from your suffering." While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of this guy, the Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher anymore?" Again, what will be your reaction? I know mine. You wasted your time looking for that lady, and you didn't. What were you thinking? So I'm sharing this with you because, right, this is a situation where somebody's life is, at risk. Just think about task. How important can be that compared with this? And in that moment, what it seems like Jesus let that girl die, because he was more worried about finding the person that touched him. This was not even a task. Again, think about task. I need to change the tire of the car. I need to go and do this. I have to do this. And what about people? How can they be more important than people? So the girl died, but the story is not over yet, right? If you read that story before, you know what happened later, right? Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, "Don't be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, with all this commotion, why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep. Guess what was their reaction, right? You can read it there. But they laughed at him. Are you kidding? She's dead. After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, I don't know how I can say those words, but means, little girl, I said to you, get up. Immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were completely astonished. So, for Jesus, the story ends. It's a happy end. So for Jesus, I'm thinking, and this is the part I want to tell you today. Apart from the fact that task cannot be more important than people, is the fact that Jesus wants a personal relation with you. So personal that even with something going on that badly, that a little girl dying, he was looking for that lady. I think in my mind, for me was enough. Well, already Jesus, you're healed. Or Jesus thinking like, she's already fine. So I can keep going I can keep going and look for, and save that little girl. Because I felt she touched me and she's fine. I know that she's fine. It's Jesus, right? He knew about it. But see how personal he is. That he stopped and was looking for that lady. And you know how personal was the situation there. That the only time in the Bible when Jesus called daughter a lady wasn't that time. You're not going to find Jesus calling any other person, any other lady in the Bible daughter, except in that moment. That was the only time. See how important was for Jesus that person, each one of you. How important is for Jesus everybody in this town in Earlham. It cannot be task more important, chores that you have to do. And remember, this was not a task. This was somebody dying. And he took the time to stop and look for that person to the point that he called her daughter. Only time in the Bible. And then he went. And the girl died, but then you know the happy end, right? He took her and, come on, stand up. You're okay. Yep. So don't forget this part. This part in the Bible. Task cannot be more important than people. How much time do you dedicate to God and your family and others? How much time? Just think about it right now. While I'm just, how much time do you dedicate to God, your family, and others? There's another story in the Bible, and this is about, I will say about others. And if you go to 2 Kings 7, chapter 7, verses 1 to 16. 2 Kings chapter 7, 1, 16. Elisha replied, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says about this time tomorrow. This place say, I guess, of the finest flour will sell for a shekel, I guess, and those words are really hard. I barely can speak my own language, and this is of barley for the price down. Basically, that's what he's saying. All the price will be. Today is super expensive. Tomorrow will be really, not that expensive anymore. You will see it with your own. So the officer on whose arm the king was leaning said to the men of God, look, even if the Lord should open the floodgates of the heavens, could this happen? You will see it with your own eyes, answered Elisha, but you will not eat any of it. Now, there were 4 men with leprosy at the entrance of the city gate. They said to each other, why stay here until we die? If we say we'll go into the city, the famine is there, and we will die. And if we stay here, we will die. So let's go over the camp of the Arameans and surrender. If they spare us, we live. If they kill us, then everything was dead there. We're going to die. At dusk, they got up and went to the camp of the Arameans. When they reached the edge of the camp, no one was there. For the Lord had caused the Arameans to hear the sound of chariots and horses and great army, so that they said to one another, look, the king of Israel has hired the Hittites and Egyptians kings to attack us. So they got up and fled in the dusk and abandoned their tents and their horses and donkeys. They abandoned everything. They just escaped for their lives. They left the camp as it was and ran for their life. The men who had leprosy reached the edge of the camp, entered one of the tents, and ate and drank. Then they took silver, gold, and clothes and went off and hid them. They returned and entered another tent and took some things from it and hid them also. That was a big day, right? That was like, man. Then they said to each other, what we're doing is not right. What we're doing is not right. This is a day of good news, and we're keeping it to ourselves. If we wait until daylight, punishment will overtake us. Let's go at once and report this to the royal palace. So they went and called out to the city gators and told them, we went into the Arameans' camp and no one was there, not a sound of anyone, only tethered horses and donkeys, and the tents left just as they were. The gatekeepers shouted the news, and it was reported within the palace. The king got up in the night and said to his officers, I will tell you what the Arameans have done to us. And then the story keeps going, right? To the point when then the people, in 16, then the people went out and plundered the camp of the Arameans. So it happened what the prophet said. The sale of the finest flour sold for a shekel, I guess, and 2 shekels. Whatever of barley sold for a shekel, as the Lord has said. Everything was cheaper, was cheap. So more cheap. So let's go for verse 9. Then they say to each other, what we're doing is not right. This is a day of good news, and we're keeping it to ourselves. If we wait until daylight, punishment will overtake us. Let's go at once and report this to the royal palace. So, sharing the good news. Did you hear about that? What that means? In the Bible, good news. Go and share the gospel. Go and tell others about Jesus. That is sharing good news. And they went to share the good news. They have everything there. People didn't like them because they have leprosy, right? They were like cast out, and they received that blessing from God. And instead of, you know what? We're just going to take this and walk away, man. That's what we're going to do. Who cares about the people in that city? You see how they treat us? They were mean with us. No. They got the conviction from the Lord that, you know what? God going to send a lightning, and that's what's going to happen. And we have a lot of fields here in Iowa, so be careful, right? So we need to go and share the good news with the people. It cannot be a task or something that I have to do more important to tell others about Jesus, and you always going to have chances, believe it or not. You always going to have the opportunity. You might not be in a place where thousands of people are, but you always going to have the chance to share the gospel with somebody. Whatever you're doing is not more important. I've been in situations where I want to go home, and I just, and then somebody comes, and then, I just want to finish this super fast and go home. And then somebody comes, I know. Okay, and come talk to me, and I need to spend time with this person. And don't take me wrong. I know we're missionaries, pastor, but I'm talking in normal work. Being in the U.S., I've been working. You have to work. You have to work. So I've been driving a semi-truck, and then I see guys in the yard, and this guy in particular, the one that I moved one of my part of the freight to his box truck, he likes to talk. And I'm thinking like, I want to do this as fast as I can and go back home. And then he started talking. And then in my mind, see, what are you going to do? What is more important? Because, and especially here in America, you can say, I'm going to let you go. I'm leaving. Nobody's going to be offended. If you do that in Venezuela, everybody's going to be offended. Yeah, but here it's like, you have to feel that, you have to understand that that's a moment where God is giving you that moment to share with that person. Create a relationship. Maybe you don't feel like, okay, this is, I don't know how to, but you're creating a relationship and eventually it will happen. But the main point here is do not please walk away. Do not walk away because you have something to do. Remember what Jesus did. Remember what Jesus did with this lady. He called her daughter, the only time in the Bible. How personal relationship. And that's what he wants with you, and I hope he has with each one of those, because each of us, because the thing is Jesus is going to be there, hey, come on, I don't know, whoever, my daughter, Jacqueline, and it's not him walking away from you. You will be the one walking away from him, because Jesus wants a deep relationship with you. He wants to call you son. He wants to call you daughter. He wants a relationship with you. So don't walk away from that. And at the same time, don't walk away for the chances that you have to minister others, give a word of encouragement, something, a good news to others, including Jesus, the good news about salvation. So do not never say or think that I'm too busy for you. Never, ever do that thing. Remember what the Bible said, what Jesus said, the Great Commission and, the two big, I don't have the word right now, but love God with all your heart, all your strength, right? Love God with all that you have, and love others. And everything is, the summary is right there. That's it. That's all that you need. So how are you loving God right now? Are you loving God really, like, as you should be loving Him? How are you loving others? And you can please God. You can please God. I remember God telling Jesus, this is my son, and I got pleased on him. But I remember a man in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 5, that he didn't see death. I mean, God took him from, and his name I think was Enoch. I'm just going to read it because it's just one verse. But there's a word there that actually is interesting for me, because he said, same thing, same word for this guy. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. And he was just a normal John Doe, a normal guy, ordinary guy. But he pleased God. So don't think that when you read that Jesus pleased God, and you think, I cannot do that. Of course you can. So the way that you're going to please God, and one of the ways that you're going to please God is not putting tasks, things that you have to do, as something more important than people. Never say or think, I'm too busy for you. And that's what I want to share to you this morning. And again, thank you very much for all your praise. If you have any questions about the work in Venezuela, please, after we're done, you can come and talk to us. And again, thank you for all your prayers, because that's excellent. That's heavy. I mean, that's part of the reason that people are still giving their life there in Venezuela to the Lord. Thank you very much.